want to talk about Superman 2025 again, but no spoiler warning this time. I'm getting to all the nitty gritty details because there's some things I want to talk about. I think the Peacemaker cameo in Superman is going to matter way more than we think. I think it's just a nice little joke in the movie. It was pretty funny. He was like, they're not as buff as me. That shit was funny. It caught me off guard too. I was like, oh, Peacemaker? I remember I made a video. I was like, Peacemaker could potentially be an end credit scene. Well, nah. He was in the actual movie. Why I think it's so significant is we know Peacemaker Season 2 is coming out next month, right? Before I get to Season 2 though, we have to mention in this movie that they went into a pocket dimension, which is also what's going to happen in Peacemaker Season 2. Where this happens, Peacemaker versus Peacemaker. Now, I'm not sure, I have only seen the movie once, I'm not sure which Peacemaker appeared on that screen, but it's clearly one of these Peacemakers. So which one is in the DCU with Superman right now? I don't think it's the biggest deal in the world, that little clip, but I think it's going to play a slightly bigger role in the Peacemaker Season 2 than we think, especially with the way Superman ended. Peacemaker, what? The season hasn't came. The way Superman ended with the Justice Gang and everybody in the universe seeing the optimism and the hope that Superman is bringing, I think that Peacemaker is going to feel it, which is why he wants to become a part of the Justice Gang. I'll make a video on that separately. We'll get into that later. Let's get into some more spoilers. We also get Supergirl in this movie. The cameos are pretty solid, and they were both in the movie. You didn't have to stay for the post-credit scenes, which is crazy. But it's a nice little scene towards the end of the movie where she comes in, she's drunk as shit. She clearly just got off a nice little bendy, you feel what I'm saying? And she comes to pick up Krypto, who is her dog. That's nice, you know, Krypto, DC's new moneymaker, is going to be in Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. Like, come on. Krypto is going to make them so much fucking money, bro. It's ridiculous. Not only that, but you can clearly see the vast differences between Supergirl and Superman. Just that little scene that we got. This was a perfect little introduction to Supergirl. It showed her suit. It showed her the vibe that we're going to get from the movie, you feel what I'm saying? She's clearly going to be going through her own problems, you feel what I'm saying? I think this is a great way to hand off the baton to Supergirl as the next big movie hit. You feel what I'm saying? Instead of throwing 50 teasers in our face like the MCU started doing in Phase 4 and 5. After seeing Superman and after hearing all the hype over the Supergirl movie because of the comic it's based off of, not gonna lie, this is highly moving up my most anticipated movies for 2026. And I think this has a chance to be better than Superman. I have the two biggest spoilers out the way. I gotta talk about one of my favorite fight scenes, bro. The Mr. Terrific fight scene where he shows up to the camp and he just says, Lois, just hop in my bubble real quick, turn the music on, and he just absolutely shows out, and he beats up everybody at that goddamn camp. It's like a one-shot-esque scene. It's very Guardians, it's very James Gunn, but it was one of my favorite scenes in the movie. Not to mention, I gotta say it, I don't know how I didn't mention in my spoiler-free review, the CGI in this movie is top-notch. I don't care what anybody says, bro. If somebody says this movie has bad CGI, did we watch the same movie? Because there's no way. Now, if you want to say some things kind of look a little wonky, I'm willing to have that conversation. You feel what I'm saying? But then I would dilute that conversation. I would dismiss that conversation because this movie is comic book as shit. This is literally a comic book splatted onto our screen. For us people that love comic books, us people that are super nerds, you feel what I'm saying? We're gonna absolutely adore this movie. But I do think the people that are super film heads, you feel what I'm saying, and that love their stories to make everything make sense, everything tied together, nothing be super convoluted, nothing be, you know what I'm saying? People like that, they're gonna be like, ugh. That movie was too much of a mess. That CGI didn't look realistic enough. And that's fine. It's, you know, everybody's got their own cup of tea. You feel what I'm saying? I'm not trying to discredit anybody, but that's not going to be here. That's not going to be me. Let's talk about one of the most obvious reveals of all time. Ultraman being a clone of Superman. Let's be honest. From the get-go, it kind of felt like he was going to be that way. I mean, that kind of is the character of Ultraman in the comics, you feel what I'm saying? But for him to be an exact replica of David Cornsett's Superman, just zombified, was pretty on the nose. It surprised me. I expected this to happen. I mean, they hinted towards it too in the movie. He has super strength. He's the Hammer of Baravia who was able to beat Superman, which I thought was cool. Seeing Lex Luthor fight 1A. That shit was so fire. Everybody's gonna be quoting that line, bro. Yeah, I mean, honestly, this is probably my least favorite villain out of all the villains. I even thought the Engineer had more depth and more character to her than Ultraman, but I think that's because Ultraman is going to eventually come back from that black hole as Bizarro, or maybe we're going to go to that world and beyond the black hole is the Bizarro Earth. I forget what it's called, like Heath or something like that. But yeah, I think we're going to see more of this character for sure. But all right, I'm yapping my ass off. It's been 4.5 minutes. I'm going to take a pin in it for now, and I'm going to catch up and make another video on this because I'm going to be talking about this movie for the next like 2 weeks, bro, until we get Fantastic Four. I'm going to keep it a band. I absolutely adore this movie, and I want to hear y'all comments and your opinions. Spoilers! Yeah, in the comments down below. Let's talk about it, man. Simple.